Welcome in, fight fans. I am being joined by the one and only Maddie Levine. What was your last name before? I think it's newly Levine, right?
Yes, Grimaldi. Yes. I've become a Levine. November.
Wow,
Yeah.
congratulations. And yes, when you got married was part of the reasons that you guys like met each other through fighting?
Yeah, so we actually met at the gym. And it was one of those things where we were friends, but I was always like, he's really nice
You
to look
cute?
at. You cute. And we went on a date, and I'm pretty sure we've spent every single day together since. And that was a couple of years ago. So yeah, things are great. He's a professional fighter himself. He's in karate combat, so it's very exciting.
Yes.
A lot of people might know him from Glory Kickboxing. So
Okay.
he's been in the circuit for quite some time. Yeah.
Nice. I went to Elite MMA in Calabasas, which has Bas Rutten. So that's so cool
Oh
that
yeah.
he's doing that. So is Karate Kombache, it's like not, it's a TV show, it's not a promotion, right?
So it's very interesting. It's technically a promotion, but the way that they run their shows is they do it like a series. So
Okay.
technically, if he were to have a fight coming up, he's not really allowed to talk about it or anything like that because they have to wait for
Yeah.
the series to air. So
Okay.
in that sense, it's a little strange, but it's also kind of cool because it's almost like he's like a TV star. So it runs like a promotion, but on like the media side of it, it's like a show.
That's so cool. I see your shirt
Yeah.
says Turbo, and I think that's
Yes,
his
I'm repping.
his
I'm
nickname.
repping. Yes,
Very
I
cool.
am Mrs. Turbo now. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't I
yeah.
didn't connect the dot until I was doing my research for Tyson Chartier, and I
Yes.
saw that he was in the sparring sessions with him. So I was asking Tyson, I was like, is that where like the elbow work was coming in? Because Calvin's elbows this last fight, oh my gosh.
Savage. Absolutely savage.
Gnarly.
I would probably credit the elbows to their striking coach, Jake Manini. He is an absolute stud when it comes to striking. His Muay Thai background is like top notch. Ross, on the other hand, definitely contributed to the kick defense.
Okay.
Calvin was doing an excellent job of doing his angles and switching stances constantly because he was so used to Ross kicking him the way Giga was trying to. So he definitely contributed in that sense.
That will definitely come in handy no matter which way he gets matched up next. I know Yair Rodriguez, very dangerous on the feet. And then also
Yeah.
you have Brian Ortega, who has been working on his boxing too, but also is just a world-class jiu-jitsu specialist. So we could
Yeah.
talk for days about the New England
We really
cartel
could.
and all the talent over there. But today we are here to talk about UFC 270, the first pay-per-view of 2022. I'm so excited. It's actually in Orange County. So I'm like in the moving process right now.
Oh,
And I was located in LA, but I'm staying at my brother's in Orange County. So I think after this, I'm going to try to make it to the press conference to see,
nice.
yes, see some of the action in person. All the talk of the town has been between Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou, the drama between them, the background, the
Yes.
history with Fernand Lopez. So you are a fighter yourself. When you initially heard about the leaked footage of the sparring between Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane, what were your initial thoughts? Like, wow, that is so not acceptable, or what are they trying to accomplish with that?
It's such an awkward situation, right? And from the UFC standpoint, they have a show to put on. They have to create buzz. They have to do all these things, right? And I think the leaked footage is just an example of trying to get the buzz out. Now, it's very interesting when you listen to both of them talk about this so-called feud, because if you ask Ngannou, he's like, there is no feud. I barely know the guy. But then he'll turn around and say, I really wanted this fight. Like I needed to prove something. So there's obviously some sort of tension, no matter what Ngannou is trying to narrate, right? But when it comes to leaking footage, unfortunately, if the camera's rolling, this is something that you're subject to. If you really think that somebody has a video of Ngannou and Gane sparring and they're not going to post it, bro, come on, come on. So when it comes to unacceptable, not acceptable, I kind of think it is what it is.
100%. And I saw Eric Nixick go on Ariel Helwani's show, and he kind of was just like looking at it from an outsider's perspective of him growing up. Whenever he had sparring footage, it just wasn't the type of thing where it would get leaked. But now everyone has a phone, everyone has access to everything. Maybe in Paris, France, it's not a big deal for people to leak footage like that. So there's definitely some understanding from the coaches' standpoints, because the feuds have not just stuck between the fighters. Like, it's leaked to the gym, Eric Nixick getting pulled into Twitter stuff too. Right. So it should be interesting to see how all of this unveils. But this isn't even the only title fight that we have on the line. We also have that co-main event, which is a trilogy between Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. And I'm super excited for this one because flyweights are just so fast and fun to watch. And it's crazy to me that Brandon Moreno was able to get the submission against Deiveson Figueiredo, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. And it almost looked like Deiveson didn't really want it that bad in this fight. And now he's getting another redemption shot when no one really asked for it. So it's kind of making me wonder, is this why this particular co-main event is kind of flying? Now that it's fight week, I feel like it's starting to get more heat. But I feel like before this, it was kind of just flying under the radar.
I would agree. And I think, you know, with Dana White being involved with this Ngannou drama and just like all of that, I think they were really trying to hype up this feud fight with the heavyweights, where this, you know, the co-main kind of slid under the radar, like you said. But I also think it's subject to people, like you said, nobody asked for this. Like, this is the third time that they fought back to back to back. We've seen it already. We've gotten used to these fighters already. We know this drama already. So as a viewer, it's kind of hard to attach yourself to a fight like this if you're not a mega fan. Now, obviously, it's going to be entertaining. They're both extremely talented fighters. And I have a feeling we're going to see a completely different Figueiredo, because this is kind of a do or die situation for him. If he loses, it's kind of time for somebody else to try and win his belt. But if he wins, like fighting 4 times, I don't see it. So I think we're going to see a different Figueiredo this time around.
Yeah. And I definitely feel like Figueiredo, I can't remember if it was the second fight that he had a really bad weight cut. And he's notorious for having bad weight cuts. But I think the last one in particular, it was like a hospitalization thing. And there were kind of excuses coming out, like, I think it was actually in the first fight. That's why he wasn't able to finish it. And then the second one was like the consolidating win, like, okay, Moreno, this is just a story of Brandon Moreno getting so much better, not excuses for Figueiredo. Now we're going into this third fight. Figueiredo's in the press conference saying, like, I'm going to knock him out. Like, he's not saying like there's a different, we're going to the decision, I'm going to get a submission. He's like, no, I'm going to knock the Mexican with a strong chin, who's also a boxer, out. So there's a different mentality. I know that you said on Fight Banana's page that you're predicting that this could be a win for Deiveson Figueiredo. And from the betting perspective, you could actually do really well money-wise, because Figueiredo's I think he's the underdog, but I can't remember.
I think he is too.
Yeah,
I don't remember underdog. But I'm not a betting woman. I like my money way too much. I can't do it. I'll bet on a couple beers or something, but when it comes to fighting, don't you dare take my money.
It's always it's too much. Like, I'm trying to, in 2022, I want to at least bet like $5 so I can get a better understanding of like, oh, well, I could have made this much if I bet this way. Yeah. Because it's becoming such a big part of the sport. They literally have people coming in the broadcast to explain which bets are the best. And that's what keeps people engaged. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should start to like do a little, not get too crazy, not be like, oh my gosh, the Amanda Nunes fight when someone bet like, I forget how, 250 on Amanda.
Oh my God. Like, that was life-changing. That was life-changing. Like, that's crazy. That's when you're like, okay, maybe I should start betting. Like, gosh, it's crazy.
I feel like that's when the MMA gods were like, all right, Juliana Pena should get this. Like, whoever just bet that 250 on Amanda, we're just like, this person's not a good person. We're gonna teach him a lesson.
Yeah, teach him a lesson on betting.
So you picked Figueiredo for the co-main. Which way do you think the main event is going, and why do you think that?
Yeah. So like I said before, and I think I said it with Fight Bananas, I always feel so funny trying to predict a heavyweight fight, because at the end of the day, it takes one shot and then it's like, oh, okay, he won. But I'm still gonna go with Gane. I think, stylistically, he's certainly more well-rounded. We know Ngannou has punching power. That's obvious. But can he keep up with somebody that's like a mover and a groover type fighter? And not to mention with the mental aspect, I always go back on this because it's such a big aspect of fighting that people never seem to analyze. And it's if you have a strong mental ability to just block everything out. And there's no denying that the buzz around them has been very hostile. And so is Ngannou able to shut all that out? Is he able to shut out how much he hates that coach? How there's this weird tension between him and Gane. Is his ego going to get in the way because he has something to prove? So there's a lot on the line for both of them. But when I think it comes down to, mental stability and just overall game, I'm going to go with Gane.
And do you think there's going to be a finish, or do you think it goes the distance?
Oh, 100% finish. I mean, there's no way that these two guys, gigantic men, are going to last for that long. I mean, if they do, we win as viewers. I mean, that's probably going to be a crazy fight.
That's the thing for me. I'm like, I have a feeling that they're both going to come into this fight trying to be very cerebral, that we're building all this. And this is like a notorious thing that happens for me. I always like build up so much hype for a certain fight. And whenever I do that, sometimes it doesn't deliver for it. So
yeah, it's like that Masvidal fight when who did he fight? It was Masvidal. I can't think of his name.
Does it go the distance?
And it went the distance and people were so bummed out, but it was because that they were both so talented, So maybe it's something like this too, where we might get a surprise.
And Cyril's really good off of the counter strikes. And so I feel like everyone coming in, like you said, with Francis's mental stability in this, like, everyone's saying you're just going to go out there and headhunt, and that Cyril's going to be able to move and groove and catch you on one of those times where you're headhunting. I feel like Francis is like looking at that, seeing all his fights where he did get caught in those bad moments. So it could be one of those things where like a Yoel Romero and Israel Adesanya, where they're kind of just waiting for each other.
Right.
To like I feel like Cyril's still going to try to lead the dance when he can, but I mean, it's going to be tough. I have a feeling that it might go to the decision, and then Gane will get the win there because he'll be able to get that, win the battle on the feet, just with his big
outpointing and
exactly. But obviously I would love to see a knockout from either one of these guys.
Yes. Oh my god.
Especially since Francis is so nice.
Yes. He is nice.
Both of them are.
They both seem to be nice, but they're freaking terrifying. Oh my god. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, I always crack up at fights where like the fighter is taller than the cage, and I'm pretty sure they both just like tower over the cage.
Yeah,
they're gonna be a real treat.
Superhero like characters. It's so unfortunate that the UFC wasn't able to get behind Francis Ngannou in the sense of like promoting him and pushing him, because if they really wanted him to be the face of the UFC or something, you would think they wouldn't have put Ciryl Gane to be the interim champion and then have his next fight be one of his hardest competitions. Like, that's just not how you build up a fighter. And with this being the last fight on his contract, you have to wonder what kind of plans were they seeking out for him. If he does win, are they going to give him a good offer? John Jones lurking in the background, waiting for when he's going to make his comeback. So whoever wins this fight, who do you think is going to be next for a title shot?
That's so tough. Dana White has even said that he's not 100% on John Jones being the next in line. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, the dude has kind of been out for a while, so why not give the active heavyweights a chance at the shot? As far as who's next, I really think it depends on who wins. If Ngannou wins, I would love to see John Jones in there. If Gane wins, I think it's open for discussion as to who he fights next. So it's kind of up in the air. It's hard to say with the heavyweight division.
And we'll still have to see Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa go at it. I know Chris Daukaus has
Yes.
to kind of bounce back from his loss with Derek Lewis. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that we get to look forward to. And on the rest of the main card, we have Michelle Pereira versus Andre Fiallo and Cody Stamann versus Saeed Nurmagomedov. But I actually want to talk about the undercard because UFC 270 is bringing a lot of new blood into 2022. This is a card with 8 UFC debuts happening. That's the most since 2014 at UFC 180. Shout out to Mike Bone from MMA Junkie who gave that stat. I was like, okay, they're trying to introduce all these people into the UFC on a really big card in Orange County. I know one of them you were looking forward to is Kay Hansen, who is the underdog against Jasmine Jasuda Vicious. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that
you
right.
did Jazz the Vicious. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel so like close. It including vicious is cooler though. Jasuda Vicious. So that makes more sense. And she is the plus 185 underdog. She's making her debut from Dana White Contender Series. She actually fought some of her first professional fights, I think in the promotion that you helped. Oh, you did CES.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So she did more CFFC.
Okay,
but I think that's still in the same
promotion.
area.
Yes, it's a very great promotion right near my area. So yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be the fight where people are like, oh, okay, and it's going to set up the rest of the night. It's the first fight on the early prelims. And I think stylistically, it's going to be really fun to watch. They both have great ground game. They're both very, ruthless. I think Kay Hansen is a little more aggressive. Jazz Davicius is a little more passive. But when it comes to overall skill level, I think it's extremely evenly matched. And they're both tough as nails. So I really think this is going to be the perfect way to start fight night.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this matchup. The straw weights coming in. Kay was supposed to fight last weekend on Calvin's card, but she wanted to move it because she's from Orange County. She trains with Classic Fight Team, Triunfo Jiu-Jitsu. So she's killing it. She actually was supposed to fight Cheyenne Vlismas last, but because of some health issues that she had to drop out of that fight. So this is kind of her comeback fight. I think one of her last fights, she lost by decision to Corey McKenna, which I was watching the fight live and I thought she won. It was one of those kind of split decision pick 'em losses. So there's nothing more dangerous than a fighter coming off of a loss. So she's hungry, ready to go get it. So Jasmine Jasudavicius better be ready for that. And then the next one is Matt Frivola. It's a lightweight fight between Matt Frivola and Genaro Valdez. And Matt Frivola is coming off that loss to Terrence McKinney. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. And this Genaro Valdez guy, this is also his debut, but he's undefeated coming in. So this could be an interesting one as well.
I love when they come in undefeated. Oh, I always ask this question, like, who were they fighting? Why are they undefeated? You always have to ask these not so nice questions. But I think, it's going to be fireworks. He obviously has talent and he's going to bring it. And that, debut buzz is always so exciting. And it's really cool to see how a fighter is able to handle that pressure. So yeah, I think that's going to be a super fun fight to add to the collection of incredible fights.
Especially in that lightweight division, it's always popping, and you have to kind of wonder if Matt Frivola is becoming this, not gatekeeper, because he's not not even close to the top 10 or 15. I don't think he might be in the 15, but he kind of is getting like all these new up and comers. So they're kind of putting him in this position where like, oh, the name Matt Frivola, he trains with Ray Longo, Matt Serra, like he's up there. But when they're putting him up against these young guys, you kind of think he's like being put in this place where like, okay, we'll test you to see if you can beat one of the OGs.
Right. And it's almost like, do you consider that almost disrespectful? Like, do you feel like on Matt Frivola's side, it's like, all right, what the hell? Like, why am I getting all the newbies? Like, give me somebody. Like, I wonder how he takes that from the UFC perspective. Like, for me personally, I don't know how I would take that. especially if you're making a name for yourself, you're becoming one of those names that people are looking after. It's like, come on, give me a name, you know?
Yeah. And you definitely have to wonder if, like, when I think of a comparison to Matt Frivola, Wonder Boy, who he's always kind of in the talks of things, but he can never like really break through that barrier.
Mm,
And I feel like some people just love mixed martial arts so much that it's not to the point where like, oh, my next fight needs to be a title fight. Like, this
mhm.
is a career for people, but like it's the
Right.
job that they do, and they'll take the fights that they get. And even just being on a pay-per-view card is like a big deal for them. So maybe it's just at that point of his career. So a very interesting fight at lightweight there. And then we have a strawweight fight between Vanessa Demopoulos, who used to be the LFA champ, against a girl I'm not familiar with, Silvana Gomez. So I just love shouting out the girls that are ever on the
Oh
card.
God, yeah.
They're
You got
always
to.
such beasts. And
You got to.
she used to be a exotic dancer, so she was very flexible as it is. So I'll see
Wow.
like her on 10th Planet's page sometimes just doing all these crazy submissions that only like the most pretzel flexible people can get. And I'm like, this is goals. I can like
That's awesome.
on a
So
good
it sounds like
day,
we'll
I'm
be
like touching my
seeing
toes.
exactly. So it sounds like we'll be seeing a lot of ground game from her. I love the strawweight division. I love it. It's
So
definitely
fun.
one of the most active, definitely one of the most competitive pound for pound, I think. And if you are going to attempt to make a name for yourself in the strawweight division, you're a beast. You're a killer. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see them.
So when you do kickboxing, do you have to cut weight to a certain weight class?
I do. So as I've gotten older, my walk around weight has definitely changed. But I
Same.
tend to fight in the 112 to 115 range.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, I'd be a straw weight. I'd be fighting, Rose.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah. I'm just trying to
I
get
think
down to
I've
like
gone,
bantam.
yeah. So I think I've taken a total of 5 BJJ classes. So I don't think MMA is in the cards for me, but I certainly love to watch it, and I have plenty of friends that do it. I love to study it. I think it's super interesting. It's
I
just
definitely feel you on that. BJJ is hardest for me to like consistently go to. Like it's much more
yes,
fun for me to go to the striking classes, but I think, you could do MMA. You just have to learn the takedown
yeah,
defense and then the
yeah.
submission defenses, and then you're good. Just keep it
I
standing
mean,
up for when you can.
exactly. Shout out to Joe Lozon. I go to his gym every so often. And he's always saying, "Oh yeah, we'll just get you, we'll get you a crappy striker, and you'll just put him away, and you'll have one MMA fight under your belt." I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good."
That's
It would just take
awesome.
one takedown for me to look like a complete idiot. But that's why I
Now I
leave
remember
the
how
fighting to
we
them.
kind of got connected is because I think Nick Haler, who used to work with Morning Combat with me, I think he reposted something you did, and I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, who is this girl? I gotta follow another
Oh my
fellow
gosh.
MMA lover. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Nick Haler is the man. Nick Haler did my wedding. He was the videographer for my wedding. Yes.
Oh my gosh, they're so talented. They're
Yes.
him and his wife, and then their daughter is so cute. Like now
Oh
he's
my
killing it on
God.
TikTok too. It's awesome.
They need to make that little girl a model. I'm telling them right
She's
now.
so
But yeah, shout
precious.
out to Nick Haler. Love that guy.
Yes. All right. And then I'm going to just read these next three and then we'll talk about the featherweight one. But there's in the welterweight division, Michael Morales versus Trevin Giles. The bantamweights is Tony Gravely coming in as a 240 favorite against Simon Oliveira. The welterweights, Jack Della Maddalena. It's going to be his UFC debut, and he's coming in at a minus 320 favorite against the
Damn.
Pete Rodriguez at a plus 250 underdog. And then the featherweight, which I'm excited for because they talk about him a lot, like just kind of hyping him up a little bit on Morning Combat. Ilia Topuria, he is a minus 525 favorite
Mhm.
against Charles Jourdain, who is a black belt, but Topuria's last win was a KO against Ryan Hall. And I think he's from Georgia. Tough German as well, and he's like making waves in the featherweight division. So that's
Yeah.
one to keep an eye on. He's the
That's
second to last fight on the undercard.
that's going to be a good one. That was actually my husband's pick for fight of the night. Besides the co-main and the main, he was like, "That's the fight to look out for," because they're both extremely talented. And to have somebody like Topuria come in, I mean, he always puts on a show. So I think that was a really good choice to put it on this card.
Yeah, I think so. If we're talking about bonuses for the night, I feel like knockout of the night could be Ilia Topuria versus Charles Jourdain.
Okay.
Fight of the night, I think, might be Figueiredo and Moreno. And then submission of the night, shit. Like, I hope my girl Kay Hansen gets a submission of the night. Maybe Vanessa, but yeah, those are my predictions. But did you have any fight of the night pick?
Those are some pretty solid choices. For fight of the night, oh man, I'm like
there
looking
could
at
be
the card
fireworks
now.
in the main, but
I know. You know, I think I'm gonna go with you. I think I'm gonna go with the co-main for fight of the night because it's just gonna be so fast paced and it's just gonna be like whoa, 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 whoa. Knockout. I cannot believe you're not gonna give it to one of the main event guys.
I know.
I don't know if Gane can knock out Ngannou. So maybe I guess I can see that. I will give knockout of the night to Topuria. Is that who you said?
Yeah.
For knockout? Yeah. So we're on the same page here. Because for what was the other one?
Submission.
Yeah, the submission of the night. You know, Kay Hansen has great ground game, but so does Jazz Davicius. So I really think it could be whoever implements their game plan better is going to get that between them. It's going to either be one of them. So
I'm excited to see it.
We're right here.
Nice. Great minds think alike. I have not gotten to see Jasmine fight, so I'm going to look up some of her fights going into this, but I'm super excited.
They shared it on the UFC YouTube page, so it's
good. I'm gonna check that out. Just quickly before we wrap things up, tell me a little bit about what you're doing currently. I know you're with MMA Island too right now, so where can the people subscribe to my channel find you? And definitely gonna have you back more. This was so fun.
Heck yeah. So MMA Island, they've been absolutely wonderful. I do a bunch of coverage for them. I do Bellator shows for them. And really anything they tell me to do, I do it. I've been working, I started my own YouTube channel. So you can find my YouTube channel, The 1-2 Punch with Maddie Levine, where I'm going to be interviewing all your favorite fighters, breaking down fights. It's just going to be all fight content. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, at Maddie on Air. And when I'm not doing the fight game, you can listen to me on the radio. I'm on Fun 107 in Massachusetts. So I'm all over the place. You can't get rid of me.
This is so awesome. I'm so glad we got to connect. Everyone, thanks. Maddie Levine, you'll see us on Twitter, tweeting Fight Night, hashtag UFC 270. I'm Alex Wendling. That's Maddie Levine. We'll catch you next time, hopefully on another pre-fight breakdown. This was super fun.
Go.
Woo! UFC 270. Boosh!